This next tip is a big one, and I've personally seen this in action. So I've been doing eBay for about 3 or 4 months now, and I've made a little over £1,000. And I think now is a good time to say some things that I wish I did at the start of my eBay selling career. So let's get straight into it. So this is the first one, and this is such a big one. It's so important to remember. Everything will sell for the right price. When I first started, I was quite cautious with a lot of things. I was going to boot sales, I was doing different bits to source items, and I was like, will this sell? Is this good enough? Do I really want to spend my money on this? And what I've realized is that literally everything I've bought has pretty much sold. Now, what is incredibly important with this is that you make sure your buy price is right. As long as you're buying cheap enough and the very minimum that you think you can sell that item back for, you will not lose money. So say I bought an item for £5 and I'm thinking I can at least sell this for £5. That's fine, my money is safe. You might not make any money there, but if you're just starting out, that is incredibly important experience, because then you can take that information into the future and realize if you see this item again, £5 is too much, I'm not gonna buy that. And then you see it again a few months later, someone's selling it for £1. Ah, perfect, I know I can sell that for £10 now. Quite early on, I bought a lot of Nike Air Force Ones, thinking that I could sell them for maybe £40 or £50. I soon realized people are just not interested in Air Force Ones anymore. But I can sell them for around £20 to £30. So I now know it's not worth buying any Air Force Ones for more than £10. Now this next one is so important. I've sold so many items using this, and that is eBay's global shipping program. If you don't have that turned on, turn it on right now. So essentially what this is eBay's international shipping. It opens up the sale of your products to just your country, to the entire world, and that is so many more customers. So how it works is eBay will give you a postage label which goes to one of their warehouses. You ship that product off to that warehouse. They will then put a new label on it, and then they'll ship that off to whatever country you need it to go to. So it's all calculated within eBay, and they will charge the buyer the difference in postage to what you listed. So if you want to turn this on, go to your eBay account page, scroll down to postage preferences, and then you'll see their global shipping program. Click edit and turn that on. So this next tip is more about sourcing your products. So what I found so useful is using Vinted. So Vinted at the moment is kind of a competitor in the UK to eBay, but people sell items on there for so cheap. It's literally like an online boot sale. eBay, you can get those sort of higher prices because people expect the more premium service, whereas Vinted, I've heard some horror stories of how people have packaged their items. But because of that, the items are a lot cheaper on there. So a great way to source items when you can't get to boot sales is Vinted. Now I score a lot for shoes on there. I literally do newly posted for £15 and just spend a few hours scrolling, and you find so many cheap shoes that you can then put on eBay for more money. But one thing I would say about this technique is you should try your best to improve the product that you buy from Vinted before you put it on eBay. So one thing that I do is I buy these shoes, people list them for £5, they're really dirty, I get them here, I spend some time cleaning them up, making them look pretty much brand new, and then people on eBay will pay that £40 for them because they pretty much look brand new compared to the person that just wants them gone on Vinted. If you want more information on that, I have a video that basically goes through a day in the life of me selling items, and you can see how I sort of source my items, how I clean up the shoes, and then how I package and send things off on eBay. So if you want to watch that video, it'll be in the description. Next tip, Google Lens is your best friend. This is such a useful app. You get so many products and you just have no idea what they are or how to even find them. But with Google Lens, you can literally just take a picture of the item and it will bring up all the relevant listings to it through AI analyzing that image, and it's so useful. I've had so many different items that I just don't know the value of, and I take a quick picture of it on my phone, and then literally all the Amazon listings, all the eBay listings will come up, and I can do a quick bit of research and see what I should sell that item for. This next tip is a big one, and I've personally seen this in action, and that is list an item every day if you can. A few months ago, I literally listed an item every single day, and my sales and profit just went crazy. I was almost selling an item every single day as I was listing one or two. Compared to recently where I've got a bit overwhelmed with work and I've listed maybe like 1 or 2 items a week, you can see the difference in my sales drop. And I think this is just because eBay's algorithm likes it when you list items and shows that you're an active user. So I've literally seen this in action. It is so important. Even if you're really tired after a long day, just list that item. It takes like 10 minutes and just get it on there. And I promise you, you'll see a difference in your sales. Recently, I've had like 50 items on my eBay account and not a lot of interest. And then I did a mystery box video, which you can see on my channel as well, where I got a bunch of mystery items and I put them all on eBay. I listed like 20 items or so across a couple of days, and then the sales of my older items that had been there for a while started to sell. Not even the new things I just listed, the older things started to sell. So that is proof that there is an eBay algorithm there doing something. And I also say that it's worth spreading out your listings. Don't list like 20 items in one day. list those items and spread them across 20 days and you'll see a difference, I promise you. This next tip you don't necessarily have to do, but I like to do it, and that's promote your listings. So I promote every single one of my eBay listings at 2.1%, which means if someone clicks on my listing through that promotion link, they will take 2.1% of my profits. eBay recommends like 15 to 20%, which I just don't do. I've been doing 2.1% since I've started, and I've had quite a few sales. Like I said, I've made over £1,000, so I'm quite happy to keep it at that. And this is kind of important because obviously when people search your items, eBay will automatically put the items that have promoted on at the very top, which obviously gives it way more of a chance of selling. But you don't have to do this. If your item's in good enough quality and cheap enough, listed for the right price, it will sell without the promoted listing and you can get that little bit extra profit. And I'll be honest, there's not really a reason I do 2.1%. There's just another YouTuber that I watch called Jammy Dodger Flips. Super useful channel. If you want to check him out, I recommend you do. That's just what he did and he got me into this, so I just went with what he told me. Another thing I do on my eBay page is I list everything buy it now. I feel like this is the best way to sell your items. If you know the price of it and you know the value, then just list it at that price, and no matter how long it sits on there, it will sell eventually. I should also say, don't get disheartened if your items don't sell very quickly. Some items literally sit on the store for maybe a year and then they'll sell. I've only ever done like 1 or 2 auctions on my page, and that's when I can't exactly find the right value for the product. And leading on from the buy it now, I always list my items slightly higher than I think they're worth, just because I never want to undercut myself. I would absolutely hate it if I had a product, I couldn't find the exact value for it, so I listed it a little cheaper and it went, and it turns out I missed out on like £100. So I always list it slightly higher than what I think the actual price could be. And then eBay's really flexible. You can literally just change the price of your item whenever you want and it updates straight away. So if you list something for slightly higher and you see it's not getting a lot of watches or a lot of views, that probably means the price isn't right, and that's when you lower it maybe a few days or so later. But also another reason for doing this is that it actually lets you send out offers to people that have viewed your product for the lower price that you'd be happier to sell it at. So if you don't know how that works, if someone views your product on eBay and then they go away, it then comes up on your account to send them an offer, and that's usually where I've maybe reduced it by £5 or so. And I'd still be happy with that money because I've listed it slightly higher. And it also makes it feel like the customer's getting a bit more of a deal because they see this product for maybe £50 and you've sent them an offer for £45. They're like, hey, this is a £5 saving, I should buy that. Where realistically, you were happy to sell it for that £5 less anyway. Now moving on to shipping, I send all my items through Every where I can, and this is super useful because Every have these lockers all around the world. You can literally go up, scan your item, a little door opens, and then you just put your parcel in it and it's done. And all you have to do is print off your label and put it on the package. So really useful. You don't have to talk to anybody. You don't have to queue at the post office for hours. You can literally just go to these lockers. And they have a really useful app that tell you if the lockers are full or not. So make sure to download that, and I'd recommend sending stuff through Every. I know Every doesn't have the best reputation, but I've never had any complaints so far. And this is more for the bigger items. Things that fit in envelopes, send that through Royal Mail because you can literally just drop that in the post box. And it's also good to check online that the locker nearest you actually accepts Every, because not all of them do. And I also have 2-day shipping on, which I think is a reasonable time. So obviously when people buy products off you, they want them as soon as possible. Now I'm currently working a full-time job still, so it's kind of hard when someone buys something to send it off that exact same day because I just don't have the time. So I think 2 days is a reasonable time to give yourself to pack up that product and send it away. I've not really experimented with 3 or 4. I feel like that would obviously reduce sales because people would get their estimate delivery time a lot later on. And if you can do 1 day, that's amazing. That would probably help sell more products. But at the moment, 2 days for me, it seems to be working. And also, which I think is really important, is to have returns on. Especially as I sell a lot of shoes, people might not be happy with the condition of them. The size might not actually fit them. Any sort of clothing items, people are a lot more particular about. So it's important that the buyer sees that they can actually return this item if it doesn't necessarily fit. It is a little annoying as a seller, but it's not the end of the world. I've only ever had a couple of returns, and that's because shoes don't quite fit. And eBay's super useful because the moment you get it back, it just automatically relists that item. The only thing that's slightly annoying is usually you will have to pay for postage, but I guess that's just part of the game. So if you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out that video I mentioned where I go for a day in my life and how I sell stuff on eBay.